Hey, what's up, YouTube? I thought I'd do a 2014 wrap-up to kind of talk about what's coming up next on the channel and what games I reviewed this year that I really think are something special. Okay, so first off, I got a bunch of new games this year, and I reviewed most of them, and I do have a backlog, and so in the pipeline, I've been trying to find time to review these, but I don't, these are serious time commitments. Zeliard, which is by Game Arts, the guys who did Thexter 2, and I'm really looking forward to this one. I haven't had the time to really sink into it, but I'll get around to that soon. It uses kind of a similar graphic system to Thexter. We've got the Sentry coming up, and every time I boot this up, I'm just a bit. It's kind of a frightening game, and yeah, so I haven't really gotten around to really reviewing it yet. I'm very excited to have this. This is released in the U.S. as the Sentry. Overseas, it's known as Citadel. You can see the screenshots here. So it's like a full polygon game for the Commodore, where it's very surreal, very weird. If you've never played it, it's also a PS1 remake of it that you might want to check out if you like this game. And let's see. I was very excited to acquire this. I found a U.S. seller, even though I don't think it was ever released here for the Amiga. Hired Guns. This is a Dungeon Master style 3D engine game. I don't know. There's no real screenshots in the back, but it's if you can see, it's a 4-player game, or single player controlling all 4 characters, kind of like Space Hulk if you've ever played that one. And it's pretty cool. Though, so years ago I got really into this game, got very far in it on a pirated copy that had latent copy protection that would actually kill your saved game. So I tracked down a copy to buy, and I wanted to, any game that I enjoy, I want to have in my collection anyway, because I don't really believe in playing games a lot that I don't own. And so I finally got it, finally tracked down a seller, and I'm awful at it now. I am just so lost in this. I can't get past the second world, and so someday I'll review Hired Guns if I can ever find a way to progress. And I also acquired a lot of like a batch of Commodore games that a friend had, and among them were some awesome stuff. And in there was Auto Duel, which is, I'm a huge fan of Car Wars. I love that game. It's a, if you're not familiar with it, it's a Steve Jackson game, the guys who did GURPS, and Fallout is basically a GURPS game. I don't know if you knew that. The license got pulled because Steve Jackson saw the intro and decided it was way too violent and didn't represent GURPS well enough, which is odd to me because these games are all very violent. But anyway, they put out Car Wars also, which is a post-apocalyptic Mad Max kind of deal. Ripped off a lot, inspired games like, what's that SSI one? Road War, I think? Road War 2000 or something. But anyway, yeah, I got Auto Duel in this batch, and I hear it's okay. Not everything it could have been, but as a big fan of this kind of stuff, I'm really looking forward to playing it. Another one is going to be a large time commitment, so I don't know when I'm going to get around to it. Okay, so this year, a bunch of the games that I reviewed were also in this batch, and among them, I was excited to get and review Airborne Ranger, which I think, look at my review of it, but it's kind of like Commando, but it's more strategic. It's kind of like a 8-bit Call of Duty or something, but maybe even brainier. I really recommend it. It's really exceptional. I don't think there's a tape version. I don't know if you'd want to play it on tape. It's already loads way too much as is. But yeah, if you like Commodore games, definitely track this guy down. It's amazing. Other games I got this year that I really, really, really enjoyed. I got a lot of play, of course, out of Thexter 2 Firehawk, which is, I think this is just one of the best DOS platforming games ever made. And I think it's actually a better game than, like, I may get crucified for this, but a better game than Turrican 2. Not to say Hurricane 2 is anything to sniff at, they're both really good games, but Firehawk is really something. You could go definitely check it out if you haven't. And if you checked out Thexter and you're like, I don't know about Thexter, Firehawk 2 adds so much more to that formula that I don't even know if I consider it, this is its own league. And I was very excited to finally get a copy of Speed Buggy. I had played this growing up in the arcades, loved it. It's criminal it never got a home port to something like the NES. It's a Japanese game by Tatsumi, who also make games like Lock On or TX1, it's like an early Outrun. Somehow never got a port to a Japanese home console system, to my knowledge. But got ports to like Atari ST, Commodore Amiga, Spectrum, I want to say ZX Spectrum, and it just rolls off the tongue. I don't know, I'm going to get smacked for that. But yeah, Speed Buggy. Came out overseas as Buggy Boy, as you might know it as that. Great game. Suspiciously shows the arcade screenshots on the back. The Commodore ones are, all the ports are really solid though. They, all look like the arcade one, but they play like it. I reviewed Blue Lightning earlier this year, and if you like Afterburner, I feel like playability-wise, this falls somewhere between Afterburner Climax and Afterburner 2. Blue Lightning is more fair than Afterburner 2, and not quite as good as like a modern Afterburner incarnation, but for what it was, 89, pretty crazy. Okay, and I also finally got, I was very excited this year to get Frostbite, which is one of my favorite Atari 2600 games, and it's quite deep. I also reviewed that. I really recommend it. And lastly, the game I was really thrilled to receive, speaking of the Atari, is, I know I reviewed this one as well, is the Great American Cross Country Road Race. And if you know Enduro on the Atari, or is also a Spectrum port of that, this is basically Enduro with way more elements, way more going on. Watch my review. It's really cool. Very simple gameplay. It's very crisp, though the controls are very tight. There's no inertia or anything, it's not like Pits Drop. But yeah, it's in my opinion, well worth checking out and playing and replaying. Oh, and one more game I really enjoyed this year. It's a recent review, and this took me by surprise because I had the DOS one and it wasn't very good. But I got the Saturn one this year, and it's a kind of expensive game, so I got disc only, and it goes very well with this Iron Maiden Cup, Power Slave. So there you go. Those are the games this year that I am going to review. The games that I acquired that I reviewed and really recommend. Kind of my best of list. Oh yeah, and I forgot, I don't have the box here, but earlier on I reviewed Chaos Engine for the Amiga, and all the versions of that are pretty similar. They're all good enough, and I really recommend that. It's kind of like Gauntlet crossed with Doom or something, and it really, it's really an awesome game. I really recommend it. In my opinion, I think it's the best thing the Bitmap Brothers have the best thing that Bitmap Brothers have actually done. Okay, so also coming up in the review pipeline, is a friend of mine was saying, he's a Nintendo fan, who was saying, you review too much Sega stuff. Because every time I don't review an Amiga or Commodore game, I'm reviewing something on a Sega system, whether it's the Saturn or the Genesis or whatever, or even the, I love the Sega 8-bits. And so he's like, why is there not more Nintendo stuff? So I was digging through my Nintendo collection and thinking, man, there was a time when my only console that I had on me was the Super Nintendo, and I really like that system. So I'm going to do some of those reviews and getting into some Game Boy stuff with the Super Game Boy. And the first review up, I want to do reviews, since I'm a Commodore heavy channel, that people who subscribe who like Commodore Amiga games and stuff like that will also enjoy. And so there's not going to be a lot of Mario or Mega Man or Metroid kind of stuff, because first of all, everyone knows about those games. They've gotten very well, covered. I want to cover stuff that you might not have played on this channel. So first up is Firepower 2000, which my European followers might know as SWIV. I actually basically once CC'd this game. You can't, there's no credits, you can't do anything but 1cc, but yeah, I got to the end of Firepower 3000 recently, and so I'm going to review it, and I am we're really looking forward to actually doing the narration for that review, because I had a really good time playing this, and it got me kind of rehooked on Swift for the Amiga too, which is also quite good. Okay, well, that's pretty much wraps things up. Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, all that stuff. And I'll see you in 2015. Wow, that's crazy, isn't it? Alright, see you later.